Hello everyone, welcome to another video here on the channel. Today we're going to dive into a topic that might be a bit controversial. Female hypocrisy is actually worse than promiscuity. I encourage you all to subscribe if you haven't already. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section, and if you enjoy the content, please give it a like. Many philosophers, writers, and even regular folks sitting at a bar table have at some point expressed this sentiment, and it seems to be quite common among most of them. The prostitute is the most honest woman because you pay, everything's clear, and you leave, no exceptions. It might sound cliche, but it's true. It's a truth on every level, not just at the surface or deep down. It's the whole truth. Because it's a truly honest relationship, isn't it? Promiscuity isn't necessarily dishonest, even though many civilizations have fallen due to increased promiscuity. It's women who truly hold the key to promiscuity in the society, wouldn't you agree? As Attitude Alpha has mentioned multiple times, it's the women who possess the key to the northern direction of whoredom in which society will orient itself. Because if women make the decision to, they delay sex with men they know. Despite men's strong libido, men will keep trying. Women pause to know the guy better, reducing promiscuity. And if you have call girls who engage in the exchange of sex for money directly, and it is a completely consensual relationship where both parties are in agreement and everything is mutual, you have honesty in that situation. There is an agreement, voluntary exchange happening there. Now, female hypocrisy, on the other hand, is far more damaging to society because it causes disorientation and confusion among both men and women. The men are left puzzled because how does female hypocrisy actually operate in practice, especially when it comes to matters of sex? Women will consistently establish rules. As many have mentioned here, it's quite a significant phrase. They make rules for the beta male, meaning the average man, the working man, the ordinary man, the good man. For the man she views as a friend, even if sometimes the man is above average, with a very attractive woman, she has the opportunity to engage in conversation and casual sex with men at the top. She will always set rules for this man, and for this man it will always involve connection, attraction, and getting to know better. Let's relax, etc., etc. But here's the thing, her thinking is incoherent because everything she says about needing something first with the guy at the top is instantly contradicted. So the point is, she makes rules for the beta only to break them with the alpha, right? From the very moment when you have a number of women actively engaging in this particular front, where for a select few men, they are willing to do anything at any given time, there are absolutely no physical, emotional, or financial barriers that can stop them. The woman will indeed find a way. You know that saying from an earlier era at the bar which goes, when a woman decides she wants to give, nobody can hold her back, right? Well, this saying is increasingly being applied to men at the top, particularly when it comes to younger and more attractive women. Once they're over 30, desperation hits and things change. They lower standards because top guys are with new girls, always renewing. This female hypocrisy is, if women claim to wait for sex till marriage, right? We're not seeking perfect societies of pure virgins, right? What we're talking about here is that many men have left the game. When the game was still bad, it was a bit rotten, but it was still playable. There was still negotiation between men and women. But after the game became unplayable, the guys gave up the game and are seeing the collapse happening there. Of course, there will always be cattle, yes. But the valuable cattle, most of them have already been hooked, as we always say here. There will only be bad guys left for them. They won't accept it. The stranded scene is inevitable. So as soon as women get hold of and create these rules and don't follow them because there are always guys who make exceptions for them, they're going to break these rules, right? You'll see that men get more and more lost, but what do you mean? She posts here on Instagram that energy is everything, don't get involved with the wrong people, right? For me, she takes it and says, oh, I'm not like that, I'm not like the others. Then suddenly, right? And if they criticize this, it's their irrefutable argument because in fact there's no such thing as a man who eats quietly. The guy who eats a woman is going to tell everyone, okay? If the guy hasn't told anyone that he's had sex with a woman, it's because the woman is ugly. So the guy goes around telling everyone that he's had sex with a girl, and he hears from the guy that the woman is leaving it there, she's leaving it in the fridge, she's rolling it around, and the guy says, but what do you mean? Dude, I've been chatting with this girl for a month, trying to take her out, and we did go out, but all we did was kiss, nothing more happened. A woman isn't obligated to give it to anyone. She chooses to give it to whoever she desires. No one here is dictating to whom a woman should give it or anything like that. We're merely highlighting behaviors and trying to comprehend why these behaviors happen, trying to grasp the absence of logic. Even in the absence of logic, there exists a form of logic. This logic, or rather this absence of logic, is exactly due to the stimuli and rewards present in the environment. So, her wife navigates through songs that advise you to engage with the wrong people until you eventually find the right one, right? To appreciate your own worth, right? And to not blame yourself if someone else has wronged you, even when she was aware that the other person was already in the wrong. In this scenario, the other person would be the wealthy pimp, right? The woman is never fooled by the creep without her being aware that the guy is indeed a creep. That's one of the biggest myths out there. No woman goes on a blind date here in Brazil without knowing. They are aware and they're drawn to these guys because they're attractive, they stand out, and they have women at their feet, making them irresistible. So the woman can approach them and say, but you men are only interested in women who are delicate, attractive, alluring, etc. Then we attempt to explain that, for instance, when a man visits a high-end area in Sao Paulo, he might go to places like Escandalo or Bahamas or other similar spots where there are women available for 1,000, 2,000 or even 3,000 reais, correct? Those stunning, attractive beauties. The man in that situation, and when he sees many digital influencers who are in fact hybrid call girls disguising their GP life with a civilian one, or other women who don't engage in direct sex work but reveal everything on Instagram, like those on OnlyFans and so on. The guys, they know very well all the men have an absurd hard-on for these women. That's undeniable. If a guy receives a video of a 20-year-old girl rolling her ass on TikTok, he immediately wants to have sex with that woman. It's nature at work there, you see. It's not that the man is perverted, shameless, etc. It's just that the guy, he sees the excess of ass there all the time. It's ass in the guy's face mediating on Instagram, right? And not just famous women and sub-celebrities, but girls from his town, people he's known since childhood are into it too. I'm not judging morally. If a woman wants to show her ass, she can. I'm just discussing the impact on the environment, okay? So of course the guy will want to have sex, but men clearly separate the desire for sex from wanting a relationship. Women often claim it's sexist to differentiate between women for sex and women for marriage, right? But since that's biology, arguing it's a social construct is pointless, right? When women mimic crude men and believing all men have abundant sex, it distorts reality so clearly that it's futile to debate. To discuss this topic is like entering a mental hospital and getting into a debate with a madman, wouldn't you agree? So, there's this guy, right? He's in the area with his buddies, surrounded by a bunch of incredibly attractive women. He decides to spend some money there. The guy ends up spending 2,000 reais just for sex. He sleeps with a woman he never would have had the chance to be with if he hadn't paid for it, you know? Even footballers and singers, they pay for sex. Even millionaires sometimes can't have sex with these women without paying. Isn't that something? Regular men. But once he's had his fun, it's over. He'll spend 3 or 4 days reminiscing, but the subject is dead, you know? So the guy, he sees this woman there, he has no desire to bond with them, he has no desire to date them, except for 1 or 2 needy boomers, okay? There are exceptions. That's why I'm talking about these wealthy guys from Brazil, age 60, 55, 65. These guys are very needy, okay? The boomer generation is indeed a very serious issue in Brazil, as Racon has always pointed out, and I completely agree with his perspective. They are the ones who control the wealth and seem to believe they possess the ultimate truth. They often label our generation as Nutella, while they were the ones who exaggerated everything and left us with a broken Brazil, isn't that right? However, this is a topic we can delve into another time. So, the exceptions to what I'm discussing are these old men who are in need, who give gifts to prostitutes, pay for college education, and so on. You don't see guys age 25, 30 doing that, do you? Not all men are young and wealthy. Wanderson Nunes is not the rule, okay? There are some cuckoos, some jerks, right? But as a rule, men are very ephemeral, very fleeting when they get involved with more promiscuous women because they know it's something momentary. He doesn't romanticize promiscuous women. So men are hypocrites in many ways, right? Regarding money, power, society, and business. Another topic, but on sex, right? Everyone is somewhat hypocritical. Yes, it's human nature. Everyone can be a hypocritical jerk, that's true. But men's hypocrisy is less than women's, because he does indeed admit that he is attracted to hot women, those women who reveal everything and so on. However, he only has an interest in them for sexual purposes. He does not really consider the idea of going out with that kind of woman or the thought of taking over or starting a family. The issue for the woman is that if she were to get involved with that kind of jerk once, twice, or even 3 times in her life, she would eventually realize that it's a trap, that it will never lead to anything meaningful, that it's merely casual sex. People have the right to make mistakes, both men and women, and to then say, this isn't what I want for my life. A small number of women, just one or two, representing a minority within the minority, occasionally board these leaky boats, disembark, and then simply walk away, leaving it all behind. However, this is truly a very small minority, you understand? Without making generalizations, it's impossible to explain anything clearly. Therefore, the main rule is this generalization, because it must be acknowledged that the majority are involved in this behavior. They tend to romanticize these men, they romanticize the Christian grace of our society. It's a never-ending hypocrisy, an endless cycle of business with no conclusion in sight. She tends towards the stratosphere of the universe and goes beyond several galaxies. Why is that? Because she romanticizes these men who only want casual sex with them. She really thinks she can convert these guys. So what happens? The man does not continue his attempts to change the cold girl in the vicinity. He doesn't persist in trying to rescue her from her situation and all that, except for the stuff boom as I talked about, right? Now, when the woman is involved with these men, she genuinely believes she can change them. She idealizes the situation and feels emotional pain over a guy who is only interested in having sex with her. She repeats this cycle, tells friends, shares a story, then becomes needy, pursuing the average man who wanted something serious and is now rejecting her. But then men are beginning to awaken, and when she targets this average guy after she's past 30, it's going to be too late. There won't be any valuable cattle left for all of them. We will then face a very serious situation known as the chaos of the stranded, which we discussed in the videos here, and it will turn into a catastrophic situation. And get ready for the 20s. The apex of this is going to be, I estimate, in 2024, 2025. That society is going to be a somebody criollo dodo. It's going to be crazy what this is going to turn into. So this hypocrisy is very harmful. Because if women said right from the start, oh, I really like louds, don't I? I like a nice guy, that's enough. I don't like a guy who's hardworking, faithful, affectionate, semi-bold in everything else. Alright, you understand? Now, I don't pass moral judgments. Many will judge those dreaming of a return to conservative society. Now, I respect that view, but I find it unrealistic, like wishing for video stores to return and Netflix to fail, right? To me, that's an illusion. From a conservative moral perspective, etc., I don't make such judgments. There are qualified channels that explain it well, right? But that's not the focus of my channel. People might argue that even if a woman acts honestly, it's still harmful to society and so on. However, I don't make those judgments. I just analyze the stimuli and rewards around us. What I notice in their hypocrisy is, why don't they act on it? The main issue is that the woman isn't honest from the beginning. She doesn't say, hey, I don't want anything to do with you and so forth. There are essentially two reasons. Actually, there are several, but the two main ones are these. The first reason is fear. Regardless of how feminist society becomes, there's a significant fear of being judged or labeled as a slut, a whore, and so on. It's a tremendous fear of judgment. The second reason is that deep down, even if she allows herself to be deceived, a woman is not naive. She truly knows it deep down. This awareness only emerges when she's approaching the age of 30. She realizes this guy might vanish, so she keeps the middle-class nice guy on hold. The fear of losing him if things go awry is her plan B. She wants the savior, the backup, close by. In the past, without so much social media exposure, men had the benefit of the doubt. Women could still settle down after 30 with these nice middle-class men. But, you see, these guys are starting to wake up, right? The guys are waking up, and eventually their hypocrisy will lead to consequences, okay? It's going to have some very serious consequences for them, right? There will be lots of antidepressants, pet rations, and anxiolytics for these women, okay? Now, I'm not saying this in a woe is me tone. I'm actually rooting for her, I'm just exposing the reality of the situation, I'm not a supporter of any particular side here, understand? I'm simply exposing the reality here, that their hypocrisy is actually much more damaging than this behavior. It's so significant that you rarely see more committed men openly criticizing the actions of call girls. They recognize a certain honesty in them precisely because it is a straightforward transaction, money in exchange for sex, for that hour of intimacy right there. Now, the woman who keeps idealizing, waiting, posting a photo, hoping for a like from that alpha guy 1,000 kilometers away, who waits for the guy who slept with her once in a fancy apartment because he wanted to release, a millionaire did it, and she keeps waiting for his response in her story, which never happens, okay? I'm planning to make a video solely about female humor, and I'm going to reveal some things that women post online. To give you a preview, women often share a meme that goes like this: guys, I don't care about you reacting to my stories, referring to the low value guys. Then, they go on to post a series of hearts, and that little yellow emoji with hard eyes saying it's beautiful or something like that, right? It's the silly ones that they won't get even when they're 90. These guys keep commenting and sending me little hearts. The guy I want to react to in my story, there's a white space, a vacuum, because this guy doesn't care. He only goes after her when he wants to be. That's what he does. And women romanticize these guys. So where is it? The problem isn't that she romanticizes these guys. The problem is that she says she hates pimps, right? Who dislikes a chicken man, who dislikes a man who's independent, and who claims to like a man who's caring, a companion, a partner, right? They love using that word, partner, right? I'm very aware of these triggers, these Instagram buzzwords, which are complete nonsense, right? Don't be fooled, okay? So, in conclusion, their hypocritical behavior, which is so detached from reality, from what they claim, and from what they actually do, is immensely more harmful, more damaging, and far dirtier than the whoring they engage in with these guys. Because if they engage in this promiscuous behavior with these guys and took on their identity, it's easy to claim that women are liberated, that we're all promiscuous and so forth with no judgment. Yet, when it comes to acknowledging their own improper actions, they remain conservative, don't they? They end up embodying what they claim to despise the most, which is society's conservatism, right? They struggle to reconcile this, leading them to the hypocrisy of declaring they appreciate the exact opposite of what they actually, those guys they go out with. So that's the message, right? Hypocrisy is definitely much worse, okay? Much more revolting than their promiscuous behavior. Sending a big hug to everyone.